And I'm going to do a record it on my session as well. So let's just have a quick start. I'm just going to click onto screen share. I'm going to jump over to, and I'm just going to screen share with you. So we've got the shared screen up, and then I'm actually going to jump over to ChatGPT. And just before, I'm just going to make this nice and clear. Just before you came in the room, and obviously this is a super example, okay? What I did was I just wrote to ChatGPT and I said, write me a, I'll move that out of the way, yeah, okay. Write me a story in the past using the following verbs: eat, swim, run, drive, drink, work, okay? And it's written me that story. So it's actually written that story out, okay? Now, this is ChatGPT, when it comes to writing stories, it's very good. It does stories very well. That's one of the things that it does the strongest, okay? So you can give it really clear instructions and it will actually, it will write a story for you. It will, you know, basically, once you give it certain instructions, it will produce whatever you've asked it to do. Now, I just wanted to start with this as a really simple idea. So I've literally written, you know, I can say to ChatGPT, I can just write in a message here at the bottom and ask it to write a story for me. And not only in English, I could be asking it to do that story in another language. Okay, so I've got lots of examples here. Mute all the sound, please. Yeah. Okay, could someone mute that person? Yeah. Okay, so for example, here I just want to show you a couple of examples because I'm studying Polish at the moment, and I get, you know, I can get ChatGPT to write me a story in Polish. Okay, and then it could be about anything. It could be about absolutely anything, whatever topic I particularly want to work on. So if I'm studying, I can just say, right, I've learned the following words in Polish, paste in the words, and can you write me a story based on that, etc. Now, what I want to show you first of all, and we'll jump back to do one in English here. So these are all different kind of experiments I've been doing. Let's get back to that one that we just done a minute ago, which is this story here. Let's say that I wanted to write this story, okay? And because I want to use this in the class with students. Now, one of the powerful things about ChatGPT is that you can, you know, tell it to write a story very simply. So I'd come to the bottom here and say, write me a story about a boy who likes playing football and wants to become a professional football player. Okay, and then I'm going to say, right, I want the story to be for B2 level students and to include lots of words connected with football. Okay. Now, I actually did exactly this in Polish because I wanted to learn vocabulary around football in Polish, but I'm doing this in English so that we can all follow it. So now it's starting to generate that story for me. And if I come down here, there it goes. It starts writing that story, okay? What we've noticed a bit with ChatGPT is if you ask it to write something historical, you've got to be a little bit careful. It sometimes gets the facts wrong, though the latest version of ChatGPT seems to be a lot better. If you get it to write a story, it seems to be incredibly accurate. Now, I've got this story now, okay? So let's say I was studying football. This story could be really useful for me, okay? That I could then copy this story and use it with my students in the class, okay? I'm just going to copy in fact, if you want to copy, just a little tip, it's always the best to start from the bottom upwards. So if I just come down here to the bottom of this, okay? And I'm just going to go up a bit, and then I'm going to just copy that story, okay? Copy it. Now, what I can do then as well, this is really interesting. I've got this story, okay? I'm going to jump over now to something called Natural Readers. This is a free tool, Natural Readers. Don't worry, guys. I'll be sharing all of the things with you. And I just want to explain how useful this can be to me, okay? So if Natural Readers, what Natural Readers does is it would take that story and it would allow me to have that story read out. Okay, so I can write out this, I can actually go to natural readers and it will write a story, it will write the story out for me. I'll show you how this works in a minute. So I'm just going to click on the paste here. I'm just going to paste in that text. Let me just close it down 1 minute, sorry. Okay, 1 second, let me just refresh that. Okay, I'm just going to click on that and I just want to paste in that text. Okay, that is that text now pasted into natural readers. I'll make sure you can listen to this because this is going to be very impressive. Okay, share the sound. Please, everyone mute your sound, please.
Excuse me, Russell, you're muted. Sorry, you're muted.
Lovely. Okay, so I can go into natural readers. I can paste in any text I want. I can choose, for example, I'm going to do Australian English and William. So I can take any story that I've got written in ChatGPT, and then I can bring it immediately into natural readers, and then natural readers will read it for me, okay, in a really good voice. Let's listen to the voice quality of natural readers.
Once upon a time, there was a boy named Alex who loved playing football. He played every day with his friends after school and dreamed of one day becoming a professional footballer player. Alex knew that to become a professional footballer, he needed to work hard and improve his skills. So, he started to train every day, practicing his dribbling, passing, and shooting. He would also watch videos of his favorite footballers and analyze their playing styles to see what he could learn.
Now, this is incredible, this ability to link the use of ChatGPT. Now, it doesn't have to be ChatGPT. This story could come from everywhere. But what I've been doing a lot is getting ChatGPT to write me stories, obviously in Polish, connected to what I've been learning. So if the subject 1 week was, say, I was learning about football in Polish words, you know, the vocabulary for football, then I could afterwards, to practice more, I could get ChatGPT to write me a story in Polish, and then I can paste it into this system, into natural readers, and it will actually play back the story for me and read the story out. Now, the interesting thing is as well, is I can change the person and the accent. So we've got, so far we just listened to Australian English, but I might say, right, I actually want Welsh English. Okay, so now let's listen to the Welsh English version. Okay, so I'm going to click on this now and you'll hear now the story being read out with a different accent. So if I click here now.
He would also watch videos of his favorite footballers and analyze their playing styles to see what he could learn. In addition to training, Alex also started to pay attention to his diet and fitness. He knew that football was a physically demanding sport, and he needed to be.
So this is incredibly powerful, this ability to take a story that you've had created in ChatGPT and bring it into natural readers so that you can then listen to it. So you could think about the potential of this, particularly, for example, if you're a non-native teacher. So perhaps, you know, you're concerned about your accent, or you want to make sure that students get access to lots of different accents. You've got a fantastic tool that you can use. It seems to be free as long as you don't use up to 20 minutes. Now, 20 minutes is a lot of speaking time. So for all the things that I've done, there's been absolutely no problem at all. I cannot emphasize how useful this tool is for me when learning Polish. So there are two things about this tool. One, it's really useful for you as a teacher, and it's definitely worth thinking about how you might want to use this in the class if ever you perhaps had a text that you would like to listen to rather than to actually read out, or it stops you having to read out the text, or it might be that you're going to get the students to do the reading, but you also want them to listen as well, okay? So what I'm saying here is that natural readers, and I'm going to give you, don't worry, there's a special handout at the end, but naturalreaders.com is a very powerful tool. And we can link natural readers with the use of ChatGPT, okay? I'm just going to go back to ChatGPT and see if maybe I can pick up one of the actual examples in ChatGPT that I did. Okay, so here's that story that I just got you to write. Okay, as you said, you literally need to give it very clear instructions to tell it exactly what you're looking for. And I just want to demonstrate this, for example, how I'm using it in my own thing. I'm just trying to see if I've got here some examples. Right, okay, I think I have. All right, so it's going to come down here and let's have a quick look here. Let me just go to this one, for example, here. Historia dnia kobiet, okay? Now, so one of the things, just to show you, give a really good example, okay? I was doing a lesson with my Polish teacher, and we were learning about Women's Day. And obviously we learned lots of vocabulary around it. So what I did afterwards is I went on to do my own practice work. I went on to ChatGPT. I said, in Polish, can you explain to me the history of Women's Day? Can you write it in Polish for an A2 level student? Now, it doesn't always get the levels perfect. Sometimes you need to tell it, okay, can you rewrite that story and make it a little bit easier? You can talk to ChatGPT as if you are talking to a person. And in fact, the clearer you are and the more information, the more details you give it, then the better it will produce what you want it to produce. So what I could do here is I can take that text, okay, for example. So again, think about this. Same sort of idea, but I want to make the point is that Natural Readers is not only available for English teachers. If you click here, you'll notice actually it's got lots of languages, okay? And thank God for me, it's got Polish. So I can choose Marek, and now I can click on the window here to free up the text, paste in the text, and now I can hear Marek reading out that story to me in Polish, okay? You can imagine how useful this is for me as a learner of Polish, okay? Let's just have a quick listen.
Dzień Kobiet, znany również jako Międzynarodowy Dzień Kobiet, obchodzony jest 8 marca każdego roku.
Okay, so it's basically on the 8th of March every year. And if we click on here, if I wanted to, if I was worried about the speed of the delivery, I could slow it down as well. Now, this doesn't work brilliantly. I have to say that Natural Readers, it deteriorates the quality of the audio, but you can slow it down a bit. And then, for example, if I was to play it now.
Dzień Kobiet, znany również jako Międzynarodowy Dzień Kobiet, obchodzony jest 8 marca każdego roku. Święto to zostało zapoczątkowane w
Now, another really nice feature is that I can click here and it will
Dzień
repeat
Kobiet,
the
znany również jako Międzynarodowy Dzień Kobiet, obchodzony jest 8 marca każdego roku.
So imagine I want to practice
Święto
that again.
to Dzień Kobiet, znany również jako Międzynarodowy Dzień Kobiet, obchodzony jest 8 marca każdego roku.
Okay, so for me, that's a really, really useful tool. Okay, and just to make the point here that tool is not only available in English, but it's available in loads of other languages as well. Okay, really useful. The ability to control the language speed as well can be useful. The ability to repeat what you've done, and this connection that we can make between working with natural readers and working with is really, really useful. Okay, and it's one of the things that I really want to recommend to you. So I'm just going to quickly jump in just to do a quick sort of just to kind of go through it. I've got another little tool here that I want to use that I really start making quite a lot of use of these days. Let's see if I can get it. 1 minute. Okay, hang on a sec. Okay, 1 sec. Sorry. Stop sharing. Just 1 second. Okay, coming out there. Okay. Okay, sorry guys, I'm back. I'm not sure what's happened now. I've got one of my technologies is not working properly. I just want to make sure that I've got it plugged in properly. I will be with you because I just want to go through a couple of things. See, hopefully that. Let me just try one more time. Okay, and right. Okay, no, it's not. Sorry guys, I had something planned that I was going to show you on there. All right, okay, don't worry. I'll have a look at it in a little bit later. Okay, so the first thing that we've done is we've looked at this ability to use ChatGPT along with natural readers. And natural readers has this ability to, if you write the text in, it will produce the audio for you. And as you can see, it can work in lots of different languages. It's a free tool, and you can do up to a recording or audio of up to 20 minutes. Now, I'm not in the free tool, you can't download that audio, but you can obviously play it in class. What I'm saying is that this is really powerful for yourself in the classroom. It could be very useful, variety of accents, you want something read out, or it can also be useful if you want to get your students to also study on their own and work on their own, which is the way that I'm using this tool. I'm going to come back to this tool, and I just want to point out something else as well. So I'm just going to switch back, okay, and do a screen share again. Come into my screen share. And I'm just going to close that. Now, another thing with this natural readers tool is that if I write in some words, so that I'm just going to put in accommodation, okay, let's write the word fragile. Fragile. Let's write in the word complicate. Let's write in the word basic. Let's write in the word original. So I just want to show you something else that you can do. If you've got a series of words that you want to practice the pronunciation of, perhaps the students had problems with certain words individually and you want to go through them. So what you can do is you can just go on to natural readers. You can click, again, you're going to choose a language. We'll come back to English now. So we're going to come back. We'll do a UK voice. We get lots of different voices. I'm going to try Libby. And now what I'm going to do is click on this button here and
accommodation, fragile, complicate, basic,
okay,
original.
So that's another great thing that you can do with this. So you can not only get it to write, or to obviously to play or read out whole texts for you, you can also use it to go through individual words. So again, a great, very useful for students working on their own, but also students working together in groups. Okay, so the art of working with ChatGPT, and if you go onto OpenAI, and I've got a special handout for you anyway. The art of working with ChatGPT is to really use your imagination in the way that you try to make it work well. Okay, so for example, you might ask for it. Just to give you an example, I'm just going to give you a quick example here. I'm just going to say, think of, provide me with, or write 10 useful words connected. I'll keep to the same thing, connected with football. Okay, for a student of level B2. Okay, I'm not doing anything particularly creative at the moment, because at the moment I'm really trying to kind of work on. All right, so then I get the here now. See, ChatGPT is writing out all the sentences for me. Okay, now again, see what I could do now is always start from the bottom when you want to copy. I could then select these words. Okay, so this would be, again, great idea then to link that into natural readers. Okay, so I'm going to open up natural readers. I'm going to paste in those words. Okay, I can choose an accent, so I could now go through this vocabulary, and let's give it a try and see how it works.
Dribble, a skillful way of moving the ball past defenders by using footwork. Tackle, to try and take the ball away from an opponent with a slide or tackle. Offside, a position in which a player is closer to the opponent's goal than the ball and the last defender. Header, using the head to pass, shoot, or control the ball in the air. Penalty, a free kick taken from the penalty.
See, I really like this ability to do things like this. And now if we jump back again to ChatGPT, what I could do now is I could say to it, now take these 10 words and write me a story that includes at least, or it includes them. Let's just put that, okay? So I'm now asking ChatGPT to take those words. So we've got these offside, header, penalty, corner, and now I'm going to ask it to write me a story based on the vocabulary that we focused on, okay? And off it goes and it writes this story for me. Now, it seems to be that every time you ask it to write a story, it writes a completely original story for you. You can see it's just writing it straight in front of me here, okay? So again, you can see the power of working with ChatGPT and what it can do for you. And we're going to look at some more kind of, some more creative ways in a minute, but at the moment I'm just sort of showing you a few basics, okay? So again, then of course what you could do with that text is you could then come into copy that text again. So you always have the option of copying that text and then again, copy, come over to natural readers. And if you wanted to, click on the button, paste in the text, choose the voice that you want. So we're going to have, for example, let's have Ryan this time, and then off you go again. You can listen to that story being read.
Once upon a time, there was a talented football player named Miguel. He was known for his incredible dribbling skills and his ability to score goals. One day, Miguel was playing in a crucial match with his team, the Red Dragons.
Okay, so you get the idea here that we can use natural readers and connect it to ChatGPT, and that there's got lots and lots of options of working with that. Has anyone got any questions at this point at time? Is there anything that anyone wants to clarify? I don't know what the you know, I'm just gonna kind of, I've got here, I'm gonna just take some notes on a few things. So let me just get this into position. So one thing I'm saying is that ChatGPT, okay, so ChatGPT can be used with a number of other tools to really make our lessons work out. So the first one we've looked at here is natural readers. So if we want to link natural readers to ChatGPT, that can work really, really well, okay? So that link between ChatGPT and natural readers is one possible way of linking the technologies together and getting the students to, or in the class as well, to get students working. Okay, any questions about what we said? Let me just see. Can you save the audio from the natural readers to share with students? Not that I know of. No, I don't think you can do that. Any other questions? It's difficult for me to see without telling ChatGPT who your player will be. That A1 automatically choose a male player. Okay, yes, interesting. Very interesting observation. Very interesting, and obviously that's true. Okay, because obviously ChatGPT, presumably the ChatGPT has already worked on a data set where it's extracted the information. So you're absolutely right. And of course, we could have asked ChatGPT to make it female. Very interesting observation. Thank you for making that. And it is true. There's clearly a bias in this technology. That's something that you're going to have to think about in terms of the way you work. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So that's obviously something that I've been showing a lot in my presentations and in my videos about how we can also connect ChatGPT with things like word wall. And that's what I'm going to show you in a minute. Okay. What is to talk chat? Yeah, you can. I'm not going to demo that today because we're only just beginning to look into it. But there are now 3 plugins that will allow you to actually communicate with ChatGPT rather than write. Okay. I've seen them in demos and I saw them in a conference I was at the weekend. So you do have that option now if you want to look into that. It isn't something that I've done yet. Lucinda, can you keep an eye on the chat window, because it's very difficult for me to really, because there's so many things coming.
Yes. There is one question that I would like to ask you. Can you save the MP3 of audio from naturalreaders.com? I mean,
not in the free tool. I do believe that you can save the audio if you pay for it, but if you're using the free tool, the answer is no, you can't do that. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
That's the one I found. I don't see anything else, so you can move on.
Right, guys, I'm not going to spend too much time. I mean, I will do another video where another webinar where we perhaps talk about the use of ChatGPT for assessment and how assessment's going to change. Obviously, I'm looking a lot into things like e-portfolios. Today, what I want to do is really talk about the way that ChatGPT can work with other tools. That's really where I want to focus my attention today. Okay, so basically, we're focusing on that. So I'm not really looking at the whole issue of assessment. What I'm looking for is how it can support us as students in the class, teachers in the classroom, but also what I'm particularly interested is the informal learning that students can do, because that's what my experience is, that ChatGPT can be very, very useful for that. So we've looked so far at connecting ChatGPT to natural learners, and I did suggest this in some of my videos. Other things that we can do with ChatGPT, and I'll just jump back go back again, is, and I just want to point this out in case you're not aware of this, if I jump over to Wordwall, in fact, there are quite a few clever ways that you can do this. But let's just take an example from what we've just produced in ChatGPT. So if I jump back to ChatGPT, and I'll just grab a bit of this story, okay, just to show you what I mean. So if I put this one in here, okay, that'll do. Okay, copy, okay. Very interesting observation, by the way, about the sex of the ChatGPT made immediately decided it would be a male. I thought it was really interesting, and thanks for making that observation. If I just click on, if I come over to Wordwall, which most of you know I'm a really big fan of, and let's go to create activity, and I'm just going to sort of show you an example of what I mean. You know, you could take a story. So you can imagine you've done a story in ChatGPT, you've got the students that listen to that story using natural readers, and now you're pasting in the text into Wordwall, and then you're going to make this into a kind of gap fill activity. So all you need to do, and the one that I used here was just simply shows one of the very simple games. This is one where it's called missing words. So I'm going to call football missing words, okay? And then I can come into this one here, and I can click on words that I want to make. For example, I'm going to click on dribbling. So I click on it and I say add. And then I'm going to click on match. And then I'm going to click on add. And then I'll do one more. I'll do a few more. The referee. Okay, so this has got lots of vocabulary connected to football, yeah? A yellow card. Yeah, we'll do one more. Okay, let's do the free kick for a header. He's miscounted and kicked the ball at the opposing corner. The Red Dragons goalkeeper prepared for the incoming corner kick. All right, I'll do it there. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So notice I could just take any text, paste it into Wordwall, and then click on done. And then that immediately becomes a gap fill activity. Okay. Now, this gap fill activity in isolation for me is not particularly interesting. What is interesting is that we've learned some vocabulary. We've then turned that into a story. We've then read the story and maybe listened to it using natural readers. And now we're going to do a gap fill activity. It's the connectivity between all the things that really works. Okay. So if you know, I've got this activity now, and I would obviously, he was known for his incredible dribbling, yeah? Mingo was in a crucial match with his team, etc., etc. Now, I'm going to get you to quickly do this activity, so I'm going to click on Set Assignment, and I'll click on Start, and I'm going to click on Copy, and I'm going to click on Stop Sharing, and I'm just going to come back here and paste in that link, and if you just want to click, and you can quickly do that activity. So if you just want to click on that link, you can quickly do that activity. So what I've done now is I've connected ChatGPT with Wordwall. Okay. So what I'm trying to do again to make the lesson more engaging. But the point I'm trying to make is this whole association. We look at some vocabulary. We convert that into a story. We take the story, we put it into natural readers, we listen to the story, and now we're doing some exercises all related to that story. So everything is all connected together, all around the theme of football, and practicing and working with the same language all the time. Okay, so click on that link and just do that activity for me, just so you can see what it's like. That's using word wall. And when you finish, can you just really quickly write in the chat window, done? Okay, I'm just going to come back again and just jump over to here. And I just want to kind of, so just taking that a little bit further, okay, and hopefully you can see this really clearly. Now we're looking at using ChatGPT with word wall, okay? So it's another way, again, it's the connectivity between the two things that are so important, okay, in the terms of the way we work. So I'm just going to give you a couple of moments. I'm just going to stop sharing. I'll come back again in a minute. But if you've finished that activity, can you just really quickly write in the chat window, okay, done, okay? Now, just while you're talking there, guys, also, you have to be a bit careful with this because it sometimes works, it doesn't. And again, it's really to do with the instructions that you give to ChatGPT. I will be talking about some more creative ideas in a moment, but you can do things where you get ChatGPT, for example, to produce one column and then produce another column, okay? And this, again, can be really powerful if you want to then take that text and paste it into word wall or into quizzes. Now, I'm going to try and do it. So I know I can do it, but sometimes I don't give it the right instructions. But let me just come back onto ChatGPT and I'll show you what I mean. Okay. So if I just jump back here, we come back to the screen. Just going to click on the screen, come back again into ChatGPT. And right, we've done that activity here. So if we come back to create an activity in WordWall's got something like about 30 odd games. It really is great for making quick activities. And there are a number of these that can work really well for ChatGPT. The one I just showed you there was missing words, okay? But for example, matching pairs or match up can work really well, or unjumble, okay? Let me give you a couple of examples. So if we come back to our ChatGPT, we'll see if we can do this, for example, possibly, if I come back up here. So I've got these sentences here, okay? So what I could do, let me just try, I'm just going to try something and see if I can do it. I'm going to say to ChatGPT, can you write 10 words in English connected with football, and also add a short definition. As I said, this might not work because you've got to get the instructions right. Okay, can you create 2 columns so that the word is on the left, or the words are on the left, and definitions are on the right. Okay, now let's see if it will do this for me. I have managed to got it to do this several times, but here we go. It's done it. And I'm hoping, because actually this is an update, it didn't work like this before, and I'm hoping that this is going to work, because if it is, it'll be quite interesting. Let me show you what might happen. Let's hope this helps, all right? Now, if I therefore now see I've done it as in a table, I'm going to copy that table, okay? Sorry that I'm always using the topic of football. It's just since we started, I'm going to kind of carry on with it. So I'm going to copy those words, okay? Now, again, we're going to come over to ChatGPT, and I'm going to click on matchup, and I'm going to just paste in, and I hope this works. I'm going to call this matching definition with word. Okay, and I'm going to just click here, and I'm hoping it's going to I can just paste all of those words in straight away. Let's see if it works. It did. Absolutely brilliant, because I asked it to do it in 2 columns. And so I've instantly created a game now where you've got the definition of the word on the right-hand side, and you've actually got the word on the left. And incidentally, you can these days, if you didn't realize this, generate the audio for WordWall as well. So I could have these words, for example, I have to go through them all. I can add them all.
Offside.
All right, I won't do too many. I'll just do one more.
Header.
So you can actually even make this. So this activity, again, generated from ChatGPT by me telling ChatGPT to put things in 2 columns. Now you can think about this in lots of ways. What about a series of interview questions? Question, answer, question, answer, question, answer. I did that. I asked it to come up with 10 questions to ask Joe, the president of America, interview him, Biden. So you can get it to do all sorts of things. Okay, now let's just have a look at this activity. If I clicked on done, see how quickly I can make this activity. And now this becomes a matching activity where you've got the words at the top here. Remember, you can go full screen by just clicking here, and then you just drag them in to the right place. And you'll notice that some of them have got audio because I activated the audio. So if I just going to give you this one to do as well, so you just get a bit of a feeling. What I'm trying to point out to you here is just how easy it is to start with a bit of thought, connecting ChatGPT with other technologies to make games and activities. And I'm going to show you one more example afterwards, and then we're going to move on to another tool. So if I then come back over, guys, to stop sharing, and I paste that into the screen, and I click on enter, then you should now be able to click on that game and do it. And the same can be done with tenses, grammar. Yeah, of course. Yeah, lovely. Okay. All right. So, sentence in the present, sentence in the past, EAA, all sorts of things. You have 3 columns. Okay. One of the things is it's really a matter of what you communicate to ChatGPT. If you communicate effectively, and if you get it wrong, ask it again. Tell it, no, that's not the way I want it. I want it like this, and it will do it for you. I often get it to write a story for me in Polish. Guys, everyone, do that activity. I shared it in the thing, and when you finish, just click on done. I often ask it to write me a story in Polish. Then the story is too difficult, so I just ask it again. Can you rewrite the story for me? Can you make the story, a little bit easier? All right, well done, Paula. Okay. Yeah. I mean, definitely. Please, I'm not. I'm not an ad. And that is no way. I mean, this is an advert for ChatGPT. It's just a tool that I've been working with. I've also been practicing with Bing. I've not yet made any use of Google Bard, but I will be doing it definitely. Okay, there are many of these tools, guys, that are going to be emerging onto the market. Yeah. Okay, so again, you're seeing the power of using these technologies in combination with each other. Okay, so natural readers word wall. Now we're actually going to do, just don't forget, when you finish that activity, then please just write done in the chat window so that I know you finished or you haven't. Right, it's really hard for me to follow because there's about, I don't know how many people are in the actual session now, up to about 140, 150. Okay. Okay, all right. It really is your imagination, because I'm going to tell you in a minute, I'm going to explain to some of the experiments that I've been doing with ChatGPT, and these have been the most interesting. Okay, we'll get there in time. Right, guys, let's just go back. We just want to show you one other thing. Okay, so let's go back, and I'm going to jump back into the screen share, and we're going to come back onto that. So we've got that lovely activity. Again, look how, just to just show you, if I go to my activities, just to really show you, I'm doing this in Polish all the time. ChatGPT is helping me to create all these games that I play on my own to help me with my Polish. Okay, so that is what I'm talking about when I'm saying that this is, not only a tool that you can use with your students, but it's also a tool that you can pass on to your students that they can then work for study on their own. In other words, they can become better learners of the language and learn to do what we call extramural learning. Okay, I've been really making a lot of use of these tools. I've got some special things coming up in a minute, but I just want to show you one other thing. Let's go back. Let's just jump over to Quizlet. Okay, so I'm going to jump over to Quizlet, and I just want to make the point. Okay, if we click on class study set, Quizlet again is a tool I use a lot, and I'm going to call this one football words. Okay, so let's go back to that ChatGPT where we asked it to be really kind and do the word and the definition, but it could be the beginning of the sentence and the end of the sentence. It could be the question and the answer. Yeah, think of 10 interview questions to ask Taylor Swift, okay? And then bang, the question, the answer, to question, the answer. You can do it for anybody, obviously, yeah? We done one in Polish the other day about Sylvester Stallone, okay? So now, let's just go back again. I'm going to copy those words. Again, we got the word plus a definition. I'm going to jump over to Quizlet, and I'm going to just write the title here. I won't even put a description. I'm going to click on the magic button here, which is called import. And I'm just going to paste in that text. Again, look how quick this is. And now I click on import. Voila! We have created a whole set of Quizlet cards with the word on one side and the definition on the other. Instantly, it's saving me a massive amount of time. I click on create. Okay. What might need to just choose the language. Sorry, let me just make sure that it's got the right language in there. That's all done. You'll do that. Click on create. And now I've got myself a set of cards. So let's look at the flashcards. Let's see how well this works. Okay. And just to make it more interesting, we click on the options and we will turn on the audio. Okay. I won't bother to, right? So now I could be playing this game.
A technique in which a player moves the ball forward while keeping it close to their feet.
Dribble.
Dribble.
Right.
The act of taking the ball away from an opponent by using one's feet or body.
Tackle.
Tackle. When a player is nearer to the opponent's goal than both the ball and the second last opponent.
All technical stuff, that's offside.
Offside.
Okay. The power, the speed that I can do this. This is what I'm doing all the time. Again, I'm coming back to 2 points. One, this could be really useful stuff for you as a teacher to make your lessons more interesting. But two, these are skills that you could be showing your students so they can learn to study informally. Okay, they can learn to study on their own independently, learn to practice and work with these technologies. So again, what we've got here is we've got this tool. Now let's go back to our list. We can now add another one, and we're going to say here, Quizlet. Okay, so I just showed you there 3 ideas for using ChatGPT, or 3 different technologies and 3 different ways of linking it together. Now let's look at something else that I want to deal with today. I've got 2 more things that I really want to work on. So the first thing is being a bit more creative. Okay, and I'm going to try and give you just some ideas that I've tried out that worked. So here I'm really focusing on a few ideas that for me have really worked out. So I'll just move over here. Okay, we're looking at creative ideas for ChatGPT. I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to come back and I just want to talk about a couple of things that I've done. Okay, you can get ChatGPT to write a story and do comprehension questions for you. You can get ChatGPT to write a story and do true or false questions for you. You can get ChatGPT to create gap fills. You practice, you can do it all. Okay, it will do those things for you. You can, as I said, if you communicate clearly, you can almost get it to do anything in terms of language exercises that you might want to try out. What I wanted to do was take it to another level. And I was thinking, right, what types of activities could I do to really kind of make use of ChatGPT to save me time? And the first one I came out with that worked really well was the idea of me getting ChatGPT to write 2 different but similar stories. The first one I did, and I'm going to explain to you the actual lesson that I did. The first one I did was I asked ChatGPT to write me a story about a car accident. And I gave it quite a few details and said, right, it was a car accident that took place on a motorway, and there was a blue car and there was a red car and they were going too fast and blah, blah, blah. And I gave it some details to work with. And I said, I want you to write 2 stories, yeah, that are very similar, but have got 5 differences. All right, this is very powerful because it worked really well. 2 stories. So it wrote the 2 stories for me in English, both very similar, where we had 5 differences between story A and story B. Then what I did is, in fact, let's open up the thing to just explain this to you, because this is really important, the way I organize it, because it worked really well the way I did it. So let me just explain it to you. I'll just grab okay, so we're talking about creativity. I'm just going to bring this on here and just go through slowly what I did, because it's really worth talking about. So basically, the first thing that I did was I got my students into two groups. I only had a small group, all right? So I was working with group A and group B. So I had group A and group B. So one group of two students, they had one story. And the other two students, they had a different story. I was actually doing this online, the experiment. And I got the students to read their story and then in their pair to practice telling the story. Okay, and then I got group B, I put them in another breakout room. I got them to read their story and then to practice telling the story so that they both were really confident. Group A were confident telling their story and group B were confident telling their story. And I actually had them in two breakout rooms, but you could obviously do this in the classroom. Okay, now what I did afterwards is that I paired A and B together. I asked them to tell each other their stories and find the 5 differences. Simple as that. Okay, first part of the story I gave student A one story, student B another story. In fact, I had 2 students, sorry, so one group of student A's, one group of student B's. They read the story and they practiced telling it so that they could tell the story, and they practiced that in their groups. I then repaired them, one A and one B together. They each told their story and tried to find the 5 differences. It really worked well. And then finally what I did is I gave B A's story and A B's story, just so that they could read them and see the differences in the activity, okay? And it worked really, really well, okay? And this is a powerful way of working. And the thing is, for me to write those 2 stories out would have taken a long time. It would have been maybe a lesson that I wouldn't have done because it would have been too time consuming. Literally did this in a couple of minutes. Now, I had to experiment a few times to get the instructions right. As I said, you will need to practice with ChatGPT, but something like this could be a lot more creative way of using it. Think about it. The students are reading the story. The students are then speaking afterwards and practicing telling their story in their group so that they both can tell the story well. They then repair and retell their story to the other person. And then they find 5 differences. So there's loads of speaking going on, and there's loads of reading going on, and there's loads of processing of the language going on. And then finally, they go back to do a reading activity. B reads A's story and A reads B's story. These can be really, really powerful ways of working with tools like ChatGPT. Okay, guys, before I move on to one more thing, and it's going to be interesting. Lucina, have we got any more questions?
There is one question about integrating ChatGPT with Moodle, and how about it? Maybe you could. Yes.
Yeah, go on. Well, obviously you can produce, texts in ChatGPT and then paste them into Moodle very easily. Okay, so if you want to get Moodle to produce something for you, sorry, ChatGPT, because don't forget, any text that you produce with ChatGPT, you can copy it and then just paste it into Word, paste it into Moodle, paste it into Brightspace. Just to be absolutely clear, there is no plagiarism because ChatGPT is producing the text, so there isn't really an issue of plagiarism if you're asking ChatGPT to do it. You definitely want to actually show recognition for what you're doing. So ChatGPT has produced for me this piece of text, but at the moment there is no kind of law about, as far as I know, and I could be wrong, I'm no expert on it, but I've got an understanding that it can be, that you can use the content. I mean, people in business are using ChatGPT all over the place. Okay, so it's been really really useful. I mean, I'm surprised. I mean, really good question about private students. This is what I'm saying to you, and I'm going to make the point again. The power of this in terms of you training your students to become better learners. Okay, so yeah, you want to be introducing ChatGPT, the types of activities I'm showing you now. would work brilliant in a private lesson with the student, giving them knowledge of how they can make their own activities in Quizlet, in Word, using ChatGPT, putting it all together. That is really where the power is. For me, the most interesting thing about ChatGPT is what we can do to help our students to study on their own. That's for me where it's really, really powerful. That's where I think it's really got a major role to play. Okay. Any more questions that I need to look out for?
Not really. Just positive comments and a very interesting discussion between the participants helping each other. So I see that there is a team of people who have this know-how already. Really impressive.
Yeah, you can definitely, and it's a really, I can see a nice comment on, you know, you get ChatGPT to write you a story, and then you think that story is too difficult. You can say to it, well, can you change this, or can you make it a bit shorter? I'm going to tell you just one other idea. Now, I want to be careful about this one. I'm not quite convinced about it, but I just want to show you something that I've been experimenting with, okay? And again, let's start by kind of going through the idea a little bit. And then afterwards, I will, excuse me one second. Afterwards, once I've gone through the idea, I'm kind of see if I can demo the last couple of things. We don't want to go on too long. I was planning on a little bit further, but I just want to go through this idea with you. It's something, again, that you might want to think about, okay? So what I've been experimenting with a bit in Polish, and I'm just going to come over here, is getting, and this is because I'm a big believer in reading, okay? You might want to experiment with this in your language classes. So I get ChatGPT, let's say my level of Polish at the moment is somewhere around about A2 to B1, okay? I'm somewhere on that cusp between those two. So what I can get ChatGPT to do is to write a text for me at level A2, okay? And then I would read that text and I might work out some of the vocab, okay? I might even do a couple of exercises with it, okay? So I'm kind of working through some language activities based around the story at level 2. Then to push my reading level on my Polish, I get ChatGPT to come back and write the same text or a similar text. Okay, so again, obviously it's not going to be the same. It's going to be, because you're going to add to it, it's going to be a similar text, but this time the level is going to be B1. So what I'm trying to do here is to scaffold from that level to that level. Okay, it's almost like a kind of Vykotskian idea about learning. So, you know, my level is somewhere between A2 and B1. So start with the text fairly easy and get familiar with the story, the vocabulary, maybe do some exercises to practice it. And then I've got another text that ChatGPT has written for me at a higher level. And maybe I've got some comprehension questions connected to that, okay? Because you can say to ChatGPT very easily, write me 10 comprehension questions connected to the story. It will do it for you. Or can you write me this story, but I want 10 gaps in it to practice vocabulary and make it into a close activity. You can also get ChatGPT to do that as well. Okay, so that is another idea. I've been trying quite a few of these ideas around trying to make activities a little bit more creative and not just using it for the simple comprehension question, vocabulary, blah, blah, blah. Though I'm not denigrating that. I understand it's also really good and it does help. Okay, but what I've been trying to look for, okay, so thank you, Danette, for that answer about intellectual property right. As I said, as far as I understand it at the moment, and there might be a few parameters, but certainly in the area that we're working in, which is education and using these tools to get it to write stories and do vocabulary and blah, 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 then I think we're all on safe ground, and it's certainly, you know, a tool that we can use, okay? Let me just show you something else that's really opened up my eyes, and I think this is going to be the last thing I'm going to show you today. But I found this a lot of fun. I have got a handout with you with lots more information about ChatGPT, lots more information about ChatGPT for your students, and some information about various AI tools, including natural learning. So I'll give you that handout at the end, all right? But I just want to go through something else that I've done, and I think we've just been testing this even more today. We've just been doing some more tests with it. And I'm really pleased with this technology. And I'm going to keep my fingers crossed that it stays free and that we can use it again. I think you're going to like this, guys. So let me just take you. This will be the last one that I'm going to show you, okay? So I'm just going to kind of take you through the technology so that you can understand how this particular one works, all right? we're going to use a technology called Skybox. Okay, and Skybox allows you to write a text, and from that text, and you can write up to about 420 characters. Okay, so you can write a text in Skybox, and then afterwards, what you can do is paste the text into Skybox. It will actually draw a 3D world, okay, of that, whatever you describe. It will turn it into a 3D world, and it's very high quality. And I'm going to show you an example of what I mean. So where is the language learning? Well, first of all, the first part is that normally you're going to choose a topic, and then you're going to prepare the vocab, and then you're going to write the description that you want to see. All right. So some of my students did descriptions of English countryside. One of them did the mountains in Switzerland. Another one did Thailand. And then another one did a village in Andalusia in Spain. Okay. So you think of a topic, you prepare the vocab. You could get ChatGPT to do that even. You then write the description. Okay. And then afterwards you paste it in to Skybox, and it will draw a 3D image for you. Okay. So I'm going to take you through this process and this technology. It seems to be free. And then what I'm going to do, this is what I've been doing. So I'm just going to come over to show you the technology. So I'm just going to do a new share, come back, in fact, onto the basic one. Just going to click on screen. Yeah, no, let's just click. Yeah. Okay, lovely. Right. Good. So I'm going to open it up, this technology. So let's just come over here. We even did a little test today. Okay. So this is the one. It's called. I'll share the link with you afterwards as well. In fact, I'll make sure that all the links to everything is shared. You can see here that there's a 3D view already that we can see. It's just like mountains. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I've actually got a description already pre-prepared. I'm just gonna hopefully, let me just quickly grab one that I've got. Okay, I'm going to just copy this description. Okay, I'm going to copy that very quickly. Okay, and I'm going to come back into Skybox. There I am. Okay, let's just make sure that you are seeing everything I'm doing. There you are, lovely. Okay, now, obviously, I didn't show you what I wrote. I pre-prepared it, but I'm going to paste it in. Okay, so the easiest way is obviously to write the text in Word or in Google or whatever. So students could work together in pairs, and they could then write their text. They then paste it into Skybox, and then I'm going to click on generate. So there's already a lot of language processing taking place because I've thought of a topic. So we chose this topic. We then took the vocabulary, we then wrote it out, and now we're pasting it into Skybox. So this is what I got my students to do in pairs. Okay, so they were working in pairs. They did this again. It was actually done in Zoom. We were doing a test class because I don't actually teach languages anymore. I'm teacher training these days. But off we go, and there it is. There is my lovely painting. So I've got this now. Let me just quickly show you what I did. So you can see my 3D world. That was based on the description that I gave. Okay, so we got here. It looks like we got so. I'm going to give you a little challenge now. Look at this picture. We've got some kind of castle, or I think that's a church in the background there. No, it looks like a castle maybe, or yeah, we've got this lovely walkway here. We've got lots of flowers. We've got mountains. We've got quite a nice day. The sun's up, a little path. It's a white village. Blah, 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 blah. Let's have a look what we got up here in the sky. Anything else? No, nothing else. But that gives you, okay, we've got a lamp here. Okay, another one here. Okay, all right. So that is what it produced for me based on my description. Completely free tool. Now I'm going to give you a little challenge, guys. Okay. And what I'll do is I'll just stop sharing and come back. I want you in the chat window just to ask me questions to work out what I put into that description. How did I get it to produce how did I get it to produce? I want you to ask the question. For example, did you ask it to blah, blah, blah? Did you ask it to draw mountains? Did you ask it to draw blah, blah, blah? So just throw it, think about what questions or what I must have put in the description to get it to draw that image. Okay, so I'm going to get, hopefully going to get some questions coming into the chat window. Okay, did you ask it to be sunny? Yes, I did. Next question. Let's get a few more. Did you ask it to draw a white village? Yes, I did. Did you ask it to draw flowers? Yes, I did. Did you ask it to draw did you ask for a specific location? Yes, I did. Did you ask it to show flowers? Yes, I did. Any more questions? Did you design a Spanish style village? Yes, I did. Good. Did you ask it to be in Italy? No, I didn't. Did you ask it to draw trees? No, I didn't. Okay, so very powerful. Okay, lovely. We'll stop there. It wasn't a Greek village. It could have been, couldn't it? Could have been a Greek one. It could have been one in the south of Italy. Okay, did you ask it to set it in Spain? Yes, I did. You get the idea. And this is what I did. Once the students had drawn their pictures, I got them to show it to the other group. And I got the other group then to ask questions, just like you've done with me. Okay, firing questions to find out more about the description that I wrote. And then what I did as a final part of the activity, I gave group A the description that B had done. In fact, a couple of ideas you could do after you've asked me all the questions. I could get to you right now, try to write the description down that I used. Okay, and then perhaps compare it to the one that I actually wrote, which I'm going to show you now anyway. All right, so this could be quite a nice activity. Let me just see if we can come in really close on this and you can see what I did. So I said, draw a white village in Andalusia. It is in the mountains. There is a castle in the background. In the distance, we can see the sun going down. It's a lovely day. There is a church in the town square and a building with a clock and a bell on the tower. Many of the half houses have flowers outside. There is an old woman holding a basket with bread in the basket. There is an eagle flying in the sky. Now, one thing I've noticed, it doesn't include everything. It often drops things out. Okay, so you don't get a perfect picture, and I don't know why that is. I'm not really sure. All I'm saying is I did that activity in my lesson, in my practice lesson, and it worked really well. And I could see this working well, for example, in private lessons as well, because obviously the students could write their description, paste it in, and then you could be asking questions to each other about, you know, what was the contents of the thing. So if we just come back just to show you that again, all right? So it's a lovely tool. I've only done really 2 practice sessions with it. We did one today, actually. Okay. And you have got a couple of interesting options. I'll just sort of click on them and show you. I'm not. Okay. You can regenerate the painting in a different style. And you can do something called remix as well. Okay. And you can even notice you can share the image. So if I copy to clipboard, if I click on stop share now, just in the chat window, I just paste that in, then you should find that you can click on that and now see the image that I actually produced. Okay, so do we reduce ChatGPT and Skybox students' books? I recently started using based on ChatGPT to prepare lessons. What if I need text with relevant video that will help visual and auditory learners? What if I need text with relevant video? Okay, I mean, I'm not going to introduce video tools today, but actually in the handout I'm going to give you, there's one particular video that's called 3 AI tools. I think I focus on video stuff. wasn't going to show you video today because it hadn't been anything that I've tested yet enough with my students to say to you, right, I'm really pleased with this. I'm really pleased with that. Now, where I've been doing most of my tests at the moment is with ChatGPT, natural readers, and working with this Skybox. But even Skybox, I've only used it twice. Okay, so obviously, Lucinda, is there any more questions that we want to deal with? It's very hard for me because the chat window's flying through so quickly. It's really hard for me to see. You know, there was no feedback yet.
I don't see anything. People keep discussing various issues. They are managing, they are replying to each other. So, you know, you have really activated us.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot of bad things about JHJ. You know, it is, but as I said, it's going to be here to stay, guys. It's going to be a bit like the kind of, you know, there's not much we can do about it. There are just hundreds of these AI tools flying around. So, I mean, you know, what are we going to do? We're going to fall miles behind. No, we kind of just we're going to have to embrace it, and we're going to have to work out how we're going to deal with it. And I'm not saying it's a challenge. And I'll repeat, and I said at the beginning, I've already been into a couple of discussion groups and conferences where we're talking about, how we're going to do it. I don't know the answers. I'm not an expert. I certainly know that I'm worried about assessment and I'm worried about certain things, but I also see that this tool is amazing. It's been a revelation for me in terms of my own language learning. I mean, an absolute revelation. It's just taking it onto another level in terms of the things that I can do alone. I could go into a lesson, do a lesson with my teacher. I've got some vocabulary that I've learned. I take that vocabulary, I paste it into ChatGPT and ask it to write a story, or as you saw me doing today, all sorts of things that we can do with it. Now, that was just the beginning. I haven't got the answers to those questions. I'm a language teacher. I'm not an expert in things like security and the future of the world. I've got no idea. All I know is that just like, for example, when Google came about and Google search engines come about and all the doom scenarios then, and there are things to consider, there's no doubt about it, but it's here, guys, and there are many, many of these tools. Now, I've just got a couple of things just to kind of point out to you as well, all right? One thing, and then we'll call it a day. One thing is, you might have noticed that I was using this visualizer. I find this really, really useful. And obviously, if I'm in a lesson with my students, especially if I'm teaching one-on-one, but even, I'm in the classroom and I want my students to see what I'm writing, then these visualizers can be really, really useful. And this one I've fallen in love with because it's very flexible. I can kind of move it around and focus on certain things. So if I want to open up a book and go through a book or focus on things, I can do that. So I find these visualizers really, really useful. You can even use them to make games in the classroom. And I'm using it more and more now, not only when I'm working in a lesson, on Zoom, when it's brilliant for that, because students are saying things and I can be writing them down and taking notes, and of course it can all be visualized on the screen. So it's a really nice way to work. I was taking some notes earlier in a session that I had, and I've got all there, and I can visualize it and show all the students. But you can also use this in the classroom. If you've got a projector, you can be writing on the screen, and the student also writing, and the students can see it as long as you project it onto the screen. So this is a really nice tool. And I've kind of added it to my kit now when I'm teaching. I find it really, really useful, and it's very flexible. Okay, so it's kind of the way that it works, and I'll show you it in the. I'm just going to stop sharing. So if I just click back on new share and just come back to the. In fact, we'll just come back into basic. Okay, and then I'll stop sharing. If you look at the tool here, this is what it is. It's kind of like a flexible camera, and it even comes with some software as well that you can use. But it's absolutely fantastic. If you're teaching, especially if you're teaching in a Zoom, in both, because as I said, all you need to do is plug it into your computer. It's even plug and play. And if you're, in the classroom and you're taking notes, or you want to visualize the book on the screen, you can do that very, very easily. Your students can see what you're writing and it will come out on the screen. All you need is to project it onto the screen. So I've done a few presentations recently where I've used it, and certainly when I'm in my Zoom classes, I also use it as well. You might be interested in that. And I've put that in the handout as well, because a lot of people often asking me about it, okay? Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons, obviously the whiteboard can work really great for that as well. Of course it can, all right? But if there are things where you're not wanting to run to the whiteboard because you're talking at your computer, then it can be really handy, okay? And obviously when I do presentations, for example, often there isn't a whiteboard, or in fact the whiteboard's not big enough for everyone to see. If I've got a big conference and I've got 300 or 400 people in there, whereas with this, of course, we project onto a big screen, and then everyone can see what I'm writing, just as you've been watching me doing it today in the lesson. I just find it's quite useful. It's just a new toy that I'm interested in. Okay, so guys, the handout, let's get that handout to you, really important. Let's just get that end of the day. All right, I'm just going to come over, I'm going to go to my computer. I'm going to come over to my downloads, and I'm going to go IATEFL. I'm going to click on it. There it is. You guys hopefully now should be able to download that. Okay, that has got links to all of the videos that I've made recently. Some of them have been very popular. Like some of them have had like 20,000, 20 odd thousand views. Particularly interesting is the recent one I've done, which is 3 AI tools that I've used in my English class. And guys, if you're teaching other languages, still watch that video, because 2 of the 3 technologies are relevant to anybody, okay? That last tool, incidentally, I don't know if it works in other languages, okay? But so those videos that I've shared with you, and I've also shared the link if you was interested in that Huey product, this the Hue Pro that I've been working with today, because as I said, that's quite nice, and quite a few people in the conferences when I've been using it have been coming up and asking me about it, and I think it can make the lessons really interesting. I'm going to stop there. I hope that was useful. I hope you got something out of that. Thanks for being such a big group. I think we got up to about 150, 160. It wasn't as many as I was expecting. There was more than 800 people signed up for this session today. But anyway, we had a fairly good number of people. I hope that was okay. Lucinda, any last things?
Last thing, the very last thing, when is the next webinar? That was the question in the chat box.
Right,
and
okay.
I thought that probably I should say that you will be presenting at IATEFL conference in Wrocław. Yes, so that is the first opportunity for seeing you in action again and getting inspired by your expertise and your energy to begin with. And we will keep in touch. Definitely we will keep in touch with Russell, because Russell has always been helpful, always willing to do the voluntary work, and always putting so much energy into it that he really deserves a quiet evening after it. Thank you so much, so much.
Cheers, guys. I hope that was useful. Someone just asked the question, is Word Wall free? You can use it for up to 5 games for free. And then you can reuse those 5 games and keep editing them and using them again. But you are limited to 5 games, okay? Natural readers, I think it does have a limit. I think it might, but I'm not sure what that limit is. I've been using it again and again and again. I haven't got to the limit yet, but I think there might be a limit. You could always make one account and then make another one. Skybox is completely free. ChatGPT is completely free, all right? Cheers, guys. I hope that was useful. I've also put in that link as well, the Huey Pro, if you was interested in that technology. Thank you very much, and hopefully see you all again soon, yeah?